All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Thermal Gard Podcast. Super excited to have Pam Fried on today. And I have known Pam for a long time. So super psyched to get her on. Thriving business, an even more incredible story. And I really think you guys are going to enjoy it. So what's going on, Pam?
What's going on at the line, the niche, and the wardrobe, or my personal life?
However you want to say it. Or do you want to wait? We can get to current.
We'll do the business.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. What's going on right now?
Well, we just had an incredible year. We always start out the year in January from January to May, we have prom season, and it was stellar. We just couldn't have been more tickled at the amount of girls that found us from around Ohio and Indiana and Michigan. I mean, we're drawing people in a tri-state area practically, and we've just been delighted by that because I've never advertised. I've always believed in word of mouth. If I service those girls when they come in, they're going to spread the word. And that is why my business has grown. It's been completely word of mouth. I've been asked, to advertise. Google, Google grabbed me because everybody kept pulling up information for prom dresses. So they were kind of forced to advertise for me, and they weren't happy with the fact that I didn't pay for that. But anyways, that has been Facebook and Google has been very helpful because of social media. So that has been an interesting factor. But overall, every person that comes in, I always ask, how'd you find out about me? Well, half the girls at the high school said they tried your shop and they all rave about you. So that has been my biggest factor. I'm going to give that my biggest factor. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And what kind of dresses do you sell? Is it just prom dresses, or do you wedding, formal, a variety?
Anything for a special occasion. If you're going to attend a wedding, if you're going to father-daughter dance, if you're going to do, we have adult proms now. The women are coming for adult proms. So we have mother of the bride, mother of the groom, cruise wear. We got that too. So obviously wedding dresses. So I get pageant girls in, I get quinceañera girls in, and we're and anything that goes with that. So we have unique purses that go with gala dresses. We have I'm kind of known for my furs. Because the name of my shop is The Lion, the Niche, and the Wardrobe, if anyone knows C.S. Lewis, in his story of Narnia, there were fur coats in the closet to get to Narnia. So I had to have the fur coats to represent that part of that Narnia. So because my shop looks like Narnia on the inside. Actually, all 5 of my buildings, I've made it have kind of a Narnia theme. So. But yeah, fur coats, I rent those out. They don't have to buy them. They can rent them. And so we've got wraps. I've got a shoe store now. I didn't plan on that, but I have a shoe store. Anything that goes with a dress, I incorporated into the store. I have an amazing jewelry area now. I've tried to be a one-stop shop, basically. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, Pam, let's jump now back to the beginning. Where'd you grow up?
Toledo, Ohio.
Gotcha.
I went to Whitmer High, the largest high school in the state.
What was that like?
I loved it. My parents went to school there. So it's a very traditional school. It reminds me of Notre Dame is famous for its tradition. Whitmer High was known for its tradition. And we were a gymnastics school. So we put on a big circus every year. I was very involved in that. So I was a gymnast because of the high school. It made all of us at the high school gymnasts. It really did because of that show. We prepared, and I was part of my gymnastics was doing what we call adagio. I don't know if you know what adagio is, but that is where a guy lifts the girl, and you perform in routines. It's kind of like Dancing with the Stars,
Yeah.
only gymnastically. So we would do a routine where the guy would be lifting, and it was, you didn't break from it. You kept going into different situations anyways. And so that was part of the shows. I was part of that. And so it was just a really neat experience. Whitmer was high competition. If you tried out for cheerleading, there was 250 girls against you.
Wow.
Debate team, theater, any of that. So we had top talent at that school. It was you had to be good at what you did if you wanted to be on the actual team. So yeah.
Was there a common trajectory with all the arts and things like that of kids going to art schools or out to LA or anything like that?
They all did well. Okay, this is humbling. I just attended my 50th high school reunion. If that isn't humbling, I don't know what is. And there was probably about 200 of us. Okay, you're going to be blown by this, but my class was like 1,200. It was we had like 12 grade schools that fed the high school, and that's why we had large classes, thus the high competition. Mm-hmm. And so about 200 of us showed up for that reunion, and it was mind-blowing. So many of them were attorneys. They did well. A lot of them had their own businesses. I got to be one of those. It was, I was like, it was just amazing to experience a 50th high school reunion is all I got to say. A lot of people don't want to go to the reunion. We all look forward to, we've always loved coming to our reunions. We were a close class. Even with 1,200 people in it, I knew most of them. Yeah, but
that's amazing. What do you think is different from back when you were in school to today? I mean, it sounds like you guys had the presidential fitness test. You all would have rocked that.
Oh my gosh, we did. I miss that. And I talk about that I think Trump needs to bring it back.
Gotcha.
Oh my gosh, yes. I was so disappointed. You want to know what stopped our circus at Whitmer was insurance.
Really?
They stopped that performance because of insurance. 2 years after I graduated, I was sick for the school. It was such a wonderful, wonderful thing. Yeah.
What do you think physical discipline and practicing the performing arts does for young children developing into adults?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to use my mom as an example. My mom's 92. Her sisters are 98, 97, 96. She's one of 11. They were all in the Whitmer Circus. And the reason I think that they're still all living is because they were very physically active because of high school. And it transpired into their adulthood. They're all walkers. They all kind of dance on the side, ballroom dancing. They were just, the whole family has always been a walking family. As you get older, it's a little tough to do gymnastics, right? But they're later in life, they always stayed active. And I think that's why they're in their 90s. I really do. And then I read a study on it, that people that walk will make it to 90. That say that is the number one reason that people make it into that 90 bracket is because of staying active like that.
Yeah. It's amazing. So let's keep going. You graduate high school. What's next?
I did an internship in Minnesota, and I met my husband. And I admitted him into the hospital as a patient. And it takes 10 minutes to do an interview. It took me an hour to interview him because he was so interesting. And found out as I was asking about his employment that he had just been hired by the hospital. So he was in the x-ray department. So I had to take patients down to the x-ray department as the admitting clerk. And that's, so in that process of admitting him, found out that he had possibly lung cancer. So I meet this wonderful guy. I was very amazed by him as a person, and we had a lot in common. We were both involved in ministry, teen ministry, both of us. He was involved in a Catholic teen ministry. I was involved in a Protestant teen ministry called Young Life. And that's why we were sitting there talking for an hour, is because we had that commonality. We both found out we were Christians. We both had that, love for the Lord and love for teenagers and sharing that. And so in the process of him having the biopsy checked, it was something that was benign and was something that was not lethal. And so 3 days later, he came in and asked me to lunch. And so we had a standing lunch date after that for the following year. So that's how I met my husband.
Was lunch every day?
It was.
Every day.
And we became the talk of the hospital.
And what exactly was your internship? Like, what role did you serve at the hospital?
Well, I was a hired employee for that. What got me to Minnesota was an internship at an Indian center. My college degree is public health education, and I was at a WIC program in a clinic. There's a lot of Indians in Minnesota. A lot of people don't know that, but it was a Indian clinic, and so I was dealing with them. It was an interesting internship because you're dealing with an entirely different. It was just a real unique situation. I wanted something unique, and that gave it to me. So, yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
University of Toledo.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're a rocket all the way.
Yeah.
All right. So you have a standing lunch date with your husband, or your future husband at that point. How did things progress from there?
Well, after 3 months of the lunch date, he proposed.
Wow.
And I was concerned about getting married because he was Catholic and I was Protestant. And so I said, I think we need a year to iron out a lot of the, his background was so completely different from mine. And I have a feeling, well, anyways, let me just put it this way. He was studying to become a priest. And so he meets me, and I'm going, oh, okay, he has to make sure. And so, it's one thing to battle another female. It's another thing to battle a calling to God. And so sure enough, 6 months into our engagement, he broke it off. At the lunch table at the hospital, remember the standing date that we had? He literally did it at the lunch date. We were both so upset that we both left our job that day. We literally asked both of our supervisors if we could leave for the day because we were both so upset about the breakup. So I went home and I said, Lord, I had the image of Isaac and being on the altar, and I gave him up that day. I just totally gave him up. And so about midnight, I get a knock on the door, and he shows up and he says, I made a mistake. Well, he got home. He got a ticket on the way home because he was upset, just was driving. And his brother, who's a priest, they run in the family, by the way, and they took a walk, and his brother said, you're making a mistake. He says, the ministry that you and Pam are going to have as a married couple is so more what God would want than for you to become a priest. He says, what I see between you two and what you can do as a married couple, he says, you don't understand. He says, priesthood is not higher than the marriage between a man and a woman. And it just hit Vince like a brick. He was just like, oh my gosh. He says, I've always been taught that in catechism. The priesthood is always, and it was very much stressed in the family that way as well. And so his brother really drove that home for him. And so he came back at midnight and he says, I've made a mistake. And so, and he also, in fact, I think the two of them also talked about the same scripture that I was envisioning. And so we had a confirmation that night that we were to be together. So
where'd things go from there?
Well, a year later, we still let that year keep going, and we got married, and we've had 4 kids, 8 grandchildren, and his brother was right. We've had quite a ministry together. We've been able to be effective in a lot of different ministries, and it's been a wonderful marriage.
And then what got you guys back into Ohio?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so we left Minnesota and went to Florida for 10 years and had 2 more kids in Florida. We had 2 kids in Minnesota, had 2 kids in Florida. And we were down there for 10 years, and his job, there was this bad situation that happened at the hospital, and they cut the staff 30%, and he was part of that 30% cut. So we had to leave Florida because there were no jobs. So he found a neat story with that is he applied all over the country, and one of those was Lima Technical College, and he decided he wanted to try teaching, and found out that was his gift. And so he got the job in Minnesota, in Ohio, here in Lima, and that's how we came here. We didn't know anybody, but it's become home, and yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What year did you guys move back here to Lima, or here to Lima?
2006.
2006.
Mm-hmm.
And all 4 kids were around at that time?
Yep.
Okay, so you had all 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you moved back to Lima. Vince starts a job teaching. What did you start doing?
I started working at Old Barn Out Back in catering because I did that going through college. I earned my college degree by working as a waitress at a Sheraton up in Toledo. So I had that background, and so they hired me to do the weddings. I was doing most of their weddings at Old Barn Out Back.
How long did you do that for?
2-3 years.
Then what was after that?
Burton's Ridge. I became an activities director. So worked there for 2 years, and then I got hired at Outlook Point. Was there for several years. And then I became a director of marketing in Rockford at Shane Hill. And then I came back from there, and Sylvan Learning Center needed a director, and I decided to do something different from assisted living. And I was there. I was at Sylvan for 5 years. And then I missed the assisted living, and Primrose hired me as the director of marketing. And then Primrose got bought out by a Canadian company, or some company, thought it was Canadian, and I was looking for something new, something unique, and I decided the only way I was going to find that was for me to open up my own business.
Gotcha. So what did you learn in the assisted living business that gave you kind of the skills or maybe the desire or just different things that helped you when you decided to launch your own business?
Well, I never, ever considered owning my own business until my boss at Primrose, Carla Dysert, who was my best friend at the time, told me, she says, Pam, you need to own your own business. You have that personality. And so she's the one that put that little stir in my brain to do that after I left Primrose. And so, boy, I was praying down a lighter road one day. I was depressed because I couldn't figure out what to do next. I really was. I was depressed. And I was praying my heart out. And I said, Lord, if I'm going to do my own business, it's got to be on a lighter road. And and as I'm saying that, the train, of course, stops me from going home my normal route. And I'm driving more west towards Elida, and there's this model home for sale. And I'm going, And I pulled in, called, and I got the guy, the actual owner instead of the management company. I said, hey, how much can I rent this building for? He goes, it's not for rent. I said, it's been sitting here for years empty. I said, you got to rent it to me. And he goes, what do you want to do? I said, a consignment shop. And he goes, I'll meet you in an hour. So he came and he says, I'll give you 3 months. He says, you're not going to make it. I said, okay, well, we'll see. I said, but the Lord told me to pull in, so I'm trusting him on this. And he told me he was a Christian. And I looked at him and I said, why don't you trust me and God to pull this together? And so he says, okay. So 3 months later, I was concerned the business wasn't going to make it. I was very concerned because I was just a normal consignment shop and it wasn't doing well. And so I was walking the mall one night and with my husband, and I was telling my husband this. I said, honey, I said, maybe he was right. I'm not going to make it after 3 months. And we're walking around the mall, and there's Deb's going out of business. And I was just as I'm telling my husband that I'm not going to make it, I see Deb's going out of business. And I'm going, where are the girls going to find formal wear in this town that's less money than a bridal shop? And then I looked at him and I went, oh my gosh, I've got to completely revamp my business, and I've got to be doing this. So I walked in to Deb's and I said, I'm going to buy everything you've got left over in here. And that's what I did. I went home, called all my consigners. I said, come and get your stuff. If you don't want it, I'll take it to Restore. I said, but we're switching things out. I said, bring me your prom dresses, your homecoming dresses, your mother of the bride dresses, your wedding dresses. I said, because I am completely changing the whole trajectory of my business. Within a month, I was doing, people were just, you just wouldn't believe how many people have stuff in their closet and that aren't going to wear it again. And it was such the perfect thing to consign. And it was what was needed. And so I wanted a need in the community, and this was it. That's literally how I completely flipped out regular consignment to formal wear. And then I found out I was the only one really doing something like that in the whole state of Ohio. I mean, I had a really unique business. And so some consignment shops have just a little bit in the corner. I went full blown, and I think a lot of people probably thought that was a really bad idea, but it really turned into a really good idea. So, it was, I'm telling you, God was all over it because I really almost gave up.
Yeah.
And what year was that where you decided you wanted to do the dresses?
Well, it was in 2013 because I started the business in May and I switched everything out in the fall. So, yeah.
Can you just maybe give some advice or maybe some thoughts to somebody who, they're in the middle of transition. They maybe just left their job. They're about to leave their job. Maybe they're going to get canned. Who knows? And they're kind of really down, depressed. They don't know what's next. Can you speak to that person real quick? What would you tell them?
Oh, goodness. Get on your hands and knees and pray. And you ask God for direction. You ask God what your talents are. You ask God to put an idea before you. And you just really seek for direction, and you're going to, and something is going to come forward and be put forward in front of you, and you need to trust it. So I guess that's what I would say.
And what advice can you give to somebody who's not good at letting go and trusting God?
It's got to be something that it's called humility. You've got to let yourself go. You've got to drain yourself of you. Yeah.
It's amazing. All right. So walk us through, I guess you switch over to dresses, kind of those early years, you getting started, the business starts going, maybe some, challenges of growth or challenges of success, challenges of rebranding. Take us through some of that.
Challenges of the rebranding? Well, actually, if you think about it, my title was wardrobe. The lion, the niche, and the wardrobe. And so it already had the wardrobe feel, the name of it. So it was really quite the natural thing to actually, in fact, all right, here's the other thing. Remember what I just said, look at your talents? I forgot I was a sewer. It made perfect sense for me to be doing formal wear. I fix the dresses. When the girls come in and try on a dress, I'm fixing them on a daily basis to fit them, and that's what's selling them, is the fact that I'm a sewer. I am doing alterations on the spot as they're standing there in the dress. I forgot that I had that talent that I was taught as a kid. So yeah, it was kind of it fit me better. It's another way of putting that, but anyway. So now it was just such a. It was for me to make that changeover and everything was just. The store fit me better after I made the switch. It was just it was very, very natural. It's kind of what I should have started out with, but didn't know it. But yeah. So anyways.
Interesting. So what did it look like, hiring staff, building a team, creating a culture? What was that like for you?
Okay. Well, my best friends came on board. That always is lovely. People that came in as consigners became my staff. So, and then we became buddies. So that's, I got to admit, it's lovely to. I've had a lot of women just even volunteer. I've just had some lovely, lovely people that have come on board and you guys, come on, it's fun to be in my shop, okay? Bottom line, it's really not work. A lot of young girls want to know if I can hire them in because they just want to be in there. So, so I like to recruit them for fashion shows. I got to do UNOH one time. They called me and they said, Pam, can you do a fashion show in 1 week? I said, okay. They said, we've got 300 women coming in for these seminars, and they bring their wives, and we need to entertain these women. And so I ended up doing a fashion show at their student center. One of the funnest things I've ever had the opportunity to do was to do that fashion show. I met women from all over the United States. They were, it was just amazing. And I used the fashion show as an open forum, and so they were asking me questions throughout the fashion show. They were more interested in my story than probably the fashion, because they were, homecoming dresses and Mother of the Bride dresses, and if they didn't need that, they were more interested in the story. And 30 people lined up afterwards to ask me questions. You're not going to believe the questions they asked me. Most of them were on the same link of mind, is that they said, will you franchise your business in my town? And I'm going, oh heavens, at this age, If I was 30, I would have maybe taken them up on it. But here I was at almost 60, and I'm going, oh, I'm not sure I can do that. But you know what? You are welcome anytime to ask me how to do this business. I will tell you how to do it yourself in your own hometown. I am so willing to do that. I want other people to experience the joy that I have doing this. And I don't need to be making money off those people. I'm willing to share how to do this business because I love what I do. This is my retirement. People say, oh, Pam, you should be retiring. Your husband just retired. I'm going, nope. This is something that I want to do until the good Lord takes me. I'm really happy at greeting people every day, learning people's stories, because I hear every story on the planet that comes in the door. I mean, women are coming in suffering from a divorce. People are coming in having brand new grandkids. They're coming in with, just there's so many people that just come in just to talk. I realize that because they didn't need a dress. They come in just to talk. So I love being a sounding board for them, being an encouragement to them. I do pray over people, and I let them know that that is something that I'm willing to do for them, that they don't have to buy a dress when they come in. So, so it's become a ministry that I'm cherishing. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Your old window cleaner is trash. Ditch it and get Dudley on duty. It's what the pros use. So, I wanted to ask, actually, you mentioned other women coming to you being like, oh, you should franchise this and spread the business that way. How has expansion locally worked for you? I know that you have more than one building now and things like that. So how did that come about?
The story of my 5 buildings. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the property was originally owned by an older gentleman who had a car lot. So the buildings in back were used for fixing cars. They had big garage doors on them, and they were really gross on the inside, needless to say. So so there's 2 model homes. There's the model home in the front. There's a model home that's a vacation model home in the middle. It's a weird-looking building. Everybody always asks me about it. Anyways, it's an A-frame, and then the garage out and back with the painting of the cars, and then there's a garage on the left side that was a garage for the actual older gentleman, and then on the left, I'm going to be perfectly honest, was a drug house for the past 12 years. We're talking serious drug house. So I've been dealing with the drug house for 12 years next door. So started out with the original model home, the middle model home, and the car repair thing out back. Those were my 3 buildings initially that I was using. And I decided to take the antiques that I had gotten in originally with my business, and I kept an antique store in the back for about 5 years. And then I was always transitioning on that. And then, so anyways, I don't need to go into all that. So started out with basically then 4 buildings. And the painted car place became my wedding shop. So we had to completely take the garage doors off, renovate. Thank God I have a husband that can do just about anything I ask him to do. And I like to decorate. So between us, we redid each of the buildings, basically. So from 2013 to last year, those buildings were always being renovated. Okay, so it was a transition. Each year I kept accumulating each building, renovating it, so on and so forth. And then last year, my landlord decided he wanted to sell the property. So I thought I was going to lose my business. And I was I was pretty concerned, crushed, and so I asked for a lot of prayer, and I had a tremendous amount of people doing that for me, and so the landlord and his wife had become my friends, fortunately, all these years, and I was talking with them on the phone, and his wife really, really was very, very sweet. She heard in the background that we were discussing this, and she says to her husband, "You give Pam anything she wants." And the next thing I knew, we had a contract. Next thing we knew, I had a contract, and we made a deal. And because I'd been there for 10 years, he came down tremendously down on the price. And I felt that was totally God, that he made it work for me. And so the next thing I knew, I had the drug house next door as part of my property. And I had a lot of people in there that were hardcore druggies, and I was going to have to get them out. And so that was an interesting experience. And so through that, I learned to talk to the authorities and how to do that and so on and so forth. Because we were not a tenant-landlord situation. They were actually vagrants living in one of my buildings, and so that changes that whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to go in like HDTV, where you go in with the sledgehammers and it's demo day. Well, it was demo day, and I had told them for a month there was going to be a demo day, and they didn't believe me. So we came in as a crew, and we said, "Okay, time to get out." And so all of their stuff ended up in the dumpsters, and it was a unique experience. But anyways, we knocked all the walls out, the bathrooms, the sink, the whole house was gutted in one day. And so anyways, we had that experience, and it is now my new Mother of the Bride building. And just so you know, those druggy people would visit me afterwards. They would come and see me. And they would tell me about their life afterwards. You know, they all had to find a different way of getting. And so it was an interesting experience to get to know them through that whole process. And but anyways, so that's how I've got now 5 buildings, and I like to call my Mother of the Bride building my Reformed drug house. And so
It's amazing, an amazing story. So let's go into okay, more like now. What's going on in the business now? What are you looking to do in the future? Is there any more expansions? Is there anything new you want to transition to? Let's talk about that.
well, I have had the wonderful experience of being a founding member of West Ohio Christian Chamber. So a couple of years ago, we started with David Rosnowski. We found out that a chamber, a Christian chamber, could be developed, and we found out that it's been happening all over the United States. And we really believed that we needed that with what was happening with the country. We felt that Christians needed to band to support each other. We needed more support as Christian businesses, and we found out through there's actually a national Christian chamber organization, and they were out of Florida. They started in Florida, and through going down there, meeting those people, and finding out how to start our own chapter, we now have 7 counties, and we call it West Ohio Christian Chamber. We have 7 counties that represent the area of businesses, and we realized that we could do this. We just needed to figure out how to, and so we were given basically guidelines on how to do that. And so we have over 120 businesses that have signed up, and that grows every day. And we do couple fundraisers a year. We do quarterly meetings. We do monthly meetings. And we have our own chamber location. It's next to the Neighborhood Relief. And it's just been, I cannot tell you, remember when I told you that I had people praying for me? It was that group that prayed for me to be able to buy my business on Elida Road from the landlord. It was that group that gave me the support that I needed, because I was really crushed in spirit at that time. And this group made the difference for me. I cannot tell you. They came around me and called me, and I'm telling you, it was just, and that is the perfect example of why someone should join a Christian chamber. Because we don't come and do a ribbon cutting at your business. We come and we pray over you. We have a chaplain that will come anytime that you are feeling low, or you have an employee that is struggling with anything or whatever. We're about coming around you and supporting you in every possible way. But I'm telling you, it's prayer. And you walk away from that and you're renewed. I'm every time we have a meeting, I am blown away. It's church. I'm just so filled up. I'm filled up at every meeting. And I just highly recommend anybody that has a Christian business in town to check us out. It's West Ohio Christian Chamber. We have you can look us up. You can Google us. You can find us on Facebook. But yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, we're a part of that as well. But any other questions, guys, before we roll into one of our final segments?
Go right ahead.
All right. So this is the part of the show where we just kind of quick fire some questions at you.
Okay.
And you just answer them as quick as you can.
Okay.
So the first one is tea or coffee to start the day?
Mushroom coffee.
Mushroom coffee. How'd you get started on that?
I can't drink coffee. It irritates my stomach.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But I am a teetotaler otherwise.
Okay.
I'm a tea girl. I love my tea.
Gotcha. Just 1 cup a day or multiple?
Well, no. I do 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning? Awesome. All right. What is your favorite local business besides your own?
Oh, my. Swartz Contracting.
Why Swartz?
Want to know why?
Why?
They have a team that goes out to the families that get devastated by any storm, water issue, you name it. And they have a team, and they pray over them and support them before they ever start on their house. And it is phenomenal. I mean, these people are grieving, and they are dealing with their grief in a way that I have never seen another business do. I'm completely blown by their ministry. Amazed. It's just amazing. You talk to somebody that team has dealt with, and you're going to be mind blown.
Yeah, they do amazing work. We love Swartz. So, all right. What is one word to describe entrepreneurship?
Guts.
I like it.
Good answer. It's a really good answer.
Yeah, great word. All right. What is the biggest business myth?
You can do it on your own.
That's awesome. You've given several examples. Is there any other examples you can give about not doing it on your own?
Well, when I say you can't do it on your own, you better have God, or you're not going to make it.
Amazing advice. Awesome. What is one maybe quote or piece of advice or something that you've carried with you most of your life that you still lean on to this day?
I can't answer that one. That's a tough one. I don't have something like that.
Okay. That's all right.
And I can never remember quotes, so that's probably why.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No worries.
No, it's all good. That is putting people on the spot. But yeah, we like to do that sometimes.
No, I know some people have that, and I don't. I don't. You guys, I'm very free-spirited. And part of that is that it gets me in trouble sometimes, but but if my husband were to describe me, he would say I'm very much a free spirit. And I like every day to be different, unique. It's yeah, that's just who I am.
I love it. That's still a great answer.
Yeah, it is.
Well, any other questions, guys?
Nothing for me.
No? All right. Well, Pam, we will have all of your contact info and everything in the show notes and the descriptions. And I just want to say personally, thank you so much for coming on. It's an amazing story. You have an amazing business. So we're really lucky to have you here. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're so kind. Thank you.
And thank you to iHeart Studio for having us in the building today. Thanks so much.
So nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. That's all we have for today. See you all in the next one.